Hey, it's 12 Volt Trains. Welcome to this episode, the untold mysteries of the 7864 transformer. During this episode, I'm going to go over a brief tutorial on how you can run a 4.5 volt train on a 12 volt track. And I'm going to specify in the gray era with a gray transformer. So, according to the LEGO Group, and in the instruction manual for my 4.5 volt train, you need three things to convert your 4.5 volt setup to a 12 volt setup. First thing you need is the middle track. The middle track carries the current for the motor. And basically you can see there's a track down the middle. They make curves, they make crossings, and they make straights along with points, some people call them switches, that are in the 12 volt guys. Basically, you do need this to transmit power from your transformer to your motor. The next thing you need is, according to the LEGO Group, a 12 volt motor. So this is a box for a 12 volt motor. Very quickly, there's a boogie on top. It's very similar to the current Power Functions design, a little heavier and a little smaller. There's kind of cool hooks on the end, just like the current one. This one here has the connecting rods. They look nice. They don't always work the best. And the middle two wheels on both sides are dummy wheels. Only the front and rear wheels actually turn. In this instance, we are not going to be using this 12 volt train motor. The very last piece we need is a transformer to make all this go.
I am Optimus Prime.
I selected Optimus Prime. We cannot use Optimus Prime in this example. I heard transformer and I kind of got excited and got ahead of myself, I guess. So, LEGO Transformer 7864. And this is the only box I have as an example, and it does have a sticker here from, I'm assuming, the Australian government, reminding you not to break this thing open and start messing around with the insides of it for your own safety and the safety of others in your home. Now, one very quick example, one very quick difference between the box art and actually what's on my physical transformer that I'm going to show you, and I am curious if anyone else has any differences, is on the, I guess it would be your left and my right of this box. There is a power out for 12 volts, which you plug your train into traditionally. And then the one that's always been a mystery is on the other side. On the box here it says greater than 12. On my actual unit it says tilde 13 volt or 13V. So that is one thing that I found very, very interesting. That's different, but I don't think it affects much. I think it's just more to distract you from not plugging your train in there. If you do plug your tracks in there, you get a wonderful buzzing noise. I'm not going to provide an example. I find it extremely annoying, and I don't think it's any good for the electronics. Let's put it that way. So I'm going to get down to business here on the conversion of the 4.5 volt motor so that it can run on the 12 volt track. I'm just going to switch out engines, and just so that no one thinks I'm pulling a fast one on them, I'm going to remove the battery car as well. So here's our trusty 4.5 volt engine. Tragically, the only 4.5 volt motor I have that's functionally strong is from the 70s or perhaps even the 60s. So that's what's in here right now. So it is an old motor. Putting it on the track simply, it will do nothing. In the 60s and 70s, you had these neat little power pickup things. I'm going to illustrate this really quickly, but it is worthwhile noting the differences in the two types that were available. What you have in front of you right now is Type 1. Type 1 has ribbing on the little plugs, and they're situated to the outside of the flat surface. And you can see that in both examples here. If I put them together, the plugs are very far apart. Now these hoops here that look weird, There, so you can actually attach another set of pivot wheels to your train, so that basically if you have a long engine that's this long or even longer, it doesn't look like the motor is right in the middle and there's nothing on the outsides. These are Type 2, and these are more common, or at least more common in terms of how they interact with the actual motors. These here will work on either motor, Type 1 or Type 2. However, if you have a Type 2 motor, these are the only ones you can use. And if I put the flat surfaces together, you can see the poles are right against each other. They're a little longer. And these are, if you have a motor from the 80s, the 1980s, the 4.5 volt motor that kept the same package as the 12 volt motor had, you need these, the Type 2. You cannot use the Type 1 on those motors. In this instance, I have an old one. I can use Type 1 or 2. And what I'm going to do is you plug them into the bottom here. You can see there's usually 2 holes that are at the top and they go right through to the bottom. You just push these on quite tightly on both sides of the train. Pop it on the track. Now the first thing anyone's going to tell me now that knows even moderately about electronics is that I should not be sending 12 volts through my train here. This is something that's actually in the instruction manual. A lot of people probably didn't care to read it. But if you pull your knob off of your transformer, you can see it says 12V or 12 volt on the top of the knob. If you reverse the knob, it's concave on the inside and it states 4.5 volt. There's a 2-stud long Technic axle that basically controls or allows you to control the transformer. And if you push that through, and now you have the flat side of the knob facing down, it goes in here, and basically the studs, because now this is flat and not hollow, the studs that are at the back here, they actually get in the way, only allowing you to turn the train a little bit on to go forward and a little on to go backwards, and therefore not overloading the train. It is easy to jump the studs, so it's something to be careful about, but it's nice that LEGO actually thought to make this stuff so that basically it would work for 4.5 or 12 volt applications. And if you had an old 70s train, and this train's not cooperating too well right now, but if you had an old 70s train, it wouldn't just become obsolete. And sometimes these things are a little tricky. For a 4.5 volt, I would not recommend it for a longer track. As you can see, it's having trouble getting enough power. So I'm going to turn that off. The next thing I'm going to show you guys is very interesting. This is something that a lot of people have been speculating about over the years, what exactly this is for. So on this side of the transformer, you have the 12 volt that's supposed to go to power the tracks. It says 12V on it. On the opposite side, it says tilde 13. And as discussed earlier, if you plug these in over here, you just get a horrible buzzing sound, which basically tells you that you're doing something in electronics that you're not supposed to be doing. The answer to what this is for is similar to the actual switch itself. LEGO, going into the 80s, creating like a whole new platform, a whole new transformer, a whole new buttons and switches and all the peripherals that came in the 80s, wanted people who had LEGO from the 70s and 60s not to be left out. They wanted you to be able to use your blue track just as you would with the gray track. In fact, you can just combine the blue track directly into the gray track, both the power rail and the rails on the outside, and they work perfectly together. So, this right here is a LEGO switch from the 70s, maybe the late 60s. It is a remote switch. A lot of people don't know, but even in the blue era, LEGO had remote switches, which is quite amazing because since 1989, LEGO has not had any remote switches for us to play with. This little guy right here is the button for this switch. So, if I take this, and I'm using gray cables, I apologize. The cables that would go with this originally would have been white, like this one right here with a blue connector. And I plug this in over here. It's kind of difficult with these gloves and the helmet on. Oh, that's not good. Okay, I'm gonna worry about that later. I'm gonna just focus on putting this in here. Now, when I struggle along with having like a mask and gloves on, I always remind myself that it's all gonna be worth it when this show is syndicated and translated into Japanese, so that the Japanese can enjoy this awesome train show I have going on about Lego here and other cultures when it gets translated into their language. Now, that's the goal at least. We'll hope that happens. But anyhow, I'm hoping it's going to be on its best behavior. The only piece inside, other than the little indicator here, that actually articulates is this little piece right in here. You probably won't see much when I do it, but, well, you heard it. You can see the switch changes there, and that actually will change the direction of your track. And this is the little switch here that makes it happen. Anyhow, they don't work perfectly. They don't work as well as the 1980s gray era ones do, but they do work, and it is an interesting piece of Lego history. The one difference that the blue era version has is they actually number these guys, but I think the numbers only go 1 and 2. So Lego in the 80s in their idea book told you just color code them. Make this one red, and then make the button that relates to it, make that also red with the studs above here, the Lego studs, and you're good to go. Now really briefly here, because we've gone over this, and this is to my knowledge the best way to use that plug, and the only way that you really should be using it. I'm just going to show very quickly my blue era transformer. This is my blue era transformer. The one thing I do love about it is this little guy right here, which actually doesn't look like it does anything, actually does light up red. On the side, there's 3 outlets out. The first outlet is 4.5 volt, which is, on this one right here, you only have 1 outlet. You just reverse the knob as discussed earlier. You have this outlet right here, which is for all the point controls, and that leads up here. And then the last outlet obviously powers the track at 12 volts. Now the one thing that I actually love is that you can stick 7 of these train track controllers, and these switches are kind of annoying to work with, but you basically can put 7 all the way across the top of your transformer, and it doesn't really occupy that much space. So I thought given the history lesson on kind of a reverse compatibility for this transformer here in terms of some of the 60s and 70s blue Lego train items, that I would show the original transformer and how things were supposed to work according to Lego. The one thing I'll note is on the outlet here for the actual switches, or the controllers for the switches, it actually says 16 volts. It doesn't say greater than 12 or tilde 13 or what have you. I found the remote switches, the blue ones, they are troublesome. They're not always that reliable. On this transformer here, I find that they work better than on this transformer. Now that might be a fluke, or it might be the switches I'm using or the controllers that I'm using for them. But when I'm using this transformer, what I find is I hit the switch, and there's a long time, maybe up to a minute, before I can switch the track and back the other way. I don't know if it's holding a charge or what it's doing. A friend and I did tear open one of those old switches, and it's not too complicated inside, but it doesn't look very durable inside either. Anyhow, I'm hoping you guys enjoyed my show on how to upgrade or put your 4.5 volt train, have it running and powered by the 12 volt track, and as well as some of the mysteries of the 7864 transformer. Love some feedback as to what your Transformer looks like, if it looks the same as this, or if it's more like the one on the box. And until next time, it's Lego time! Thanks.